Hello, welcome to this lesson on perfectly competitive labor markets. Remember that firms are going to hire until the MRP equals the MRC. Also, remember that in perfectly competitive labor markets, workers are wage takers. So they take the wage determined by the free markets, in this case being this wage right there. Since each worker is getting paid the same additional wage, since they're wage takers, the MRC is going to be a straight horizontal line, signifying that each additional worker gets paid the same additional wage. So the MRC, or the supply, is gotten from the wage determined by the free market. The marginal revenue product slopes downwards because as you get more workers, eventually the additional revenue product that they make starts to diminish, and that's the demand from the firm, the marginal revenue product. The firm is going to hire where the marginal resource cost equals the marginal revenue product right there. That's going to be the quantity of workers for the firm in a perfectly competitive labor market. What happens if there's a decrease in the supply of workers in the markets? That's going to shift the supply curve to the left and causes the wage to increase. Since workers are wage takers, they're going to take this higher wage determined by the free market. So the marginal resource cost is going to move upwards like that. Now, since the marginal resource cost is higher, they're going to hire where MRC equals MRP, which is now going to be right there. So while they are going to pay them a higher wage, since that's determined by the free market, they're going to hire, this firm is going to hire less workers. If supply increases, then the supply curve in the market shifts to the right. That leads to a lower wage in the market. Since workers are wage takers, they're going to take this lower wage, and that's going to be the marginal resource cost right there. Since the marginal resource cost is lower, there's going to be a new point where MRC equals MRP, and that's going to be the quantity of workers that this firm hires. The wage is again determined by the free market. What if there's an increase in the demand for labor in the markets? So if there's an increase in demand for labor in the market, the demand curve shifts to the right. That leads to a higher wage for the workers. And again, since workers are wage takers, they're going to take this higher wage, and that's going to be the new marginal resource cost for these workers. Since the marginal resource cost is now higher, there's a new section where MRC equals MRP, and that's the quantity that the firm is going to hire. And again, they're going to pay them the wage. The wage is determined by the free market since workers are wage takers. What if there's only an increase in the marginal revenue product for the firm, not the market, just for this firm? Maybe they get better productivity because of a specific thing that only this firm is doing. Then just for the firm, the marginal revenue product will shift to the right, signifying that there's an increase in productivity for this firm, because more productive means a higher demand over here, a higher marginal revenue product. They're providing more additional revenue. So now they're going to still pay them the same wage because the wage hasn't changed. That's determined by the free market because workers are wage takers. But they're going to hire more workers since now they are getting a higher marginal revenue product. And remember, they're going to hire where MRC equals MRP, which is now this quantity right there. That's all for this lesson. See you next time.